okay? And we've got to quiet the brain before we go into sleep. Who here goes to bed and their brain's talking 1,000 miles an hour? Yeah. There's a couple of reasons why that is. Your brain wants to talk to you. Essentially, you want to talk to yourself, and it wants to recap. It wants to tell you what it's done. And it wants to just let you know, well, this is what I did now, and this is what I did then, and this is what I was happy about, and this is what I wasn't happy about, okay? And just wants to talk to you. Now, for most of you, you don't actually what's called empty your tank. And so you go to bed, and there's still too much stuck up here, and too much, essentially, emotional stuck up here, that it actually, you don't get time to actually fall asleep straight away. Now, one of the most effective ways to shut your brain up, okay, is to keep a journal. And at the end of the day, we're going to go through it in more detail, is to actually review your day. And on our new website, okay, which you'll get the details later, and it's a new website I've launched on coaching you in life success. There's actually a sheet that you can download at no charge, okay, that will teach you how to review your day effectively, but I'm going to talk you through it now anyway. One of the key things you need to do to review your day to become a little bit more efficient in your time is to actually review it in such a way that what were you happy with, okay? What went really well? And then once you've written it, you can be excited about that, but then you want to go, well, what didn't go so well? What wasn't I quite happy with? And then you do the next logical thing is, well, how could I improve on it? It's no good just leaving it at, oh, that didn't go well today. Oh. You need to actually say, well, what could I have done to improve it? And you'll notice that it will fall into one of two categories, that it was in your control or it was out of your control. And if it was in your control, then you need to set those strategies in motion to change or apply them next time so that scenario does go better. And if it's out of your control, you're in a powerful position to let it go. Because the longer you hold on to it and the longer you try and fight it, you're just troubling this sponge, okay? And it wants to tell you to let it go, but you're just holding on and you're fighting it, and it's going to lay you away. Thinking about our problems at night happens a lot. And again, that's where the journaling comes in. And that's where you can build an easy, effective strategy to start managing some of these things and reviewing it. Cat naps is an essential way to increase your time management. Now, why is that? Around 2 o'clock in any given day, the human body naturally goes into a slump. Most of us go looking for the vending machines, okay, or the 7-Eleven and get a quick pick-me-up, a sugary, okay? Now that leads to all sorts of health problems, okay, especially if we're doing this on a daily basis. But it also tends to give us a quick pickup and then an even bigger drop. So it actually makes you even more unproductive. The research is quite clear that if you have a 10 to 20 minute cat nap around the 2 o'clock mark, you will raise your awareness by about, I think it was 54%, and you'll boost performance by about 34%. Just that alone means that you're going to be a lot more productive, okay? Especially for the later afternoon times before dinner, and get you more stuff done so you're not going, oh, I've got to do another couple of hours. The last one is your comfort. If your bed's not comfortable, you're not going to sleep very well. If it's not supporting your body in a neutral position, it means your body is spending energy trying to sleep. If my spine is not in neutral while I'm sleeping, then I'm basically wasting energy. That's right. And if you're wasting energy, you know, that's energy essentially you've lost for the next day or the day beyond that. So it's a key thing that we've got to do. Creating time number 2. Most of us have things we don't like or things that will easily distract us, okay? We've got to get through those first, okay? So if we're going to create more time, the first thing you have to do is that first strategy. Start just eliminating the distractors. It's essential that we eliminate distractors. The second thing is basically that we start setting the bedtime the same time and our awakening time. What I want to do now is deal more with individual things. The first thing is plan, 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 plan. Now, it doesn't matter whether you do this in the morning or whether you do this at night. But on this to-do sheet that you can download, it basically has a priority list. And you need to be able to assign time to that too. Now, it may be, I really don't like mowing lawns, okay? I just can't stand it, okay? But I also don't like hanging up washing. Don't mind taking it down, I just don't like hanging up washing, okay? And there's just the little things that are just, you know, you don't really have an affinity for, okay? Now you have two options. You can either pay someone to do it, okay? And that's literally a solution to time management. Sometimes you just pay someone to do it. You know, there's domestic cleaning services that will come in, do an hour of your work. Most of the ladies probably even love it. They run through your house, it's done in an hour, and you've got an hour to do what you love to do. The thing you need to look at is how much is your time worth? And a lot of us don't do this when we start to plan. We've got to look at, well, what is our time worth? What's an hour of your time worth? What's an hour of your time? Do you know? Do you know what an hour of your time is literally worth? When you do the maths, it can be a little bit scary. Now, the easiest way to do it is, well, how much do you get paid at work? Okay, if you get paid 25 bucks for that per hour, does that mean you're worth 25 bucks an hour? Possibly. If you worked for yourself, do you think you could charge higher? No, you might be able to, if you were to do the job for yourself, you might be worth $50, okay? Or if you had an hour to spend on the things you love to create a business or an alternative thing that you do love that could generate money, and it could generate $300 per hour for you, then that would be your worth. But it's very interesting that you need to start looking at your self-worth and what do you value your time as. And don't be afraid to put a figure on it. So for us, I do have someone that comes and does the yard. Okay, we do have someone that comes in and does our house. Because when we look at it, our time is valuable and it costs me less per hour to pay someone else to do it than it is for me to spend that time doing it. And in that time frame as well, you know, you can also place value on spending time with family. And for us, that time is spent with family, or it's spent going out and doing other work, or going out and do talks, or those kind of stuff. You need to start thinking of yourself as a valuable person, and your time is precious. And you need to look at some of those solutions if you want to create more time. But personally, one of the key things is to create a strategy list. So if I did have to do the mowing and the laundry and all that kind of stuff, then, and I also had to go watch a movie, it's not go watch the movie first. Because by the time I finished watching the movie, my motivation to the other things is going to be, okay? And certainly you can use the movie as a reward to do those tasks, but essentially always do the toughest things first. Because two things will happen when you do the hardest things or the things you hate the most first. Number one, you feel good afterwards that you've got it done. And number two, you feel more motivated to do the other things in your day. The other thing that comes with planning is time compressions, okay? Start thinking of your time in either 10, 15 or half-hour blocks. At work, I set 10-minute blocks. At home, I set half-hour blocks. So when I have to do a task, I try and look at it into how long is it going to take me. So if I have to go through emails, I might set a 10-minute block, and that's it. And in that 10-minute block, I'll go through as many emails as I can. Once the 10 minutes is up, I move to the next thing on my list. Now you'll be surprised how much you can do in 10 minutes when you're switched on, okay? And it's much easier focusing for 10 minutes on something you don't necessarily like or that you have to do than 10 minutes on and then getting distracted and end up spending half an hour. The other thing is delegation, and that's what I talked about earlier. Delegate the stuff you don't like. Give it to someone else. Now, sometimes you'll have to pay for it, sometimes you won't. But I'm going to say something here. You don't have to do anything, okay? Now, we do stuff because we have responsibilities and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, if money was no object, and literally that's what it ends up coming down to a lot of the time, is, well, it costs money, and yes, it does. But if money was no object, think about, well, what would you be doing, with that time? What was that? No, exactly. So, the other thing is split your day into 3, okay? Before work, at work, home. Like I said, you should be getting up somewhere 5 something. So whether it's 5:59 or 5:00, okay, doesn't matter. But I generally set a rule of thumb, my alarm clock starts with 5. And then it goes to about 9 a.m. Okay? Or if you start work at 7, you might set it at 7 a.m. Okay? But you basically set the chunk before work. Set your morning routine, okay? You need to, it can get a little bit tedious and boring, but if you chunk your day down between 5 and 7, if you just get up and go, oh, now I'll go have a shower, now I'll go have some breakfast, now I'll go do this, the time just seems to go. And you kind of go, oh, do I got to go to work already? Because most of us are just sort of, okay? Now I'm going to give you a couple of key things here. What if your clothes were already laid out before you went to bed? What if your breakfast was already pretty much ready? What if the reading that you wanted to do was already ready? This says here, this hour of power, 20-20-20. It's not something that I came up. And you know what? I don't even know who came up with it first, because every guru or success person will talk about it. Okay? But essentially what it is 20 minutes of meditation, 20 minutes of visualization, and 20 minutes of reading. Okay? Visualization to see how your day is going to go, what do you want to see happen in your life, what's the day going to be like. Some of it you may want to write down as you go. 20 minutes meditation on that visualization, making sure that all is cool and so forth. And then you may do some reading. Or you might do the reading and then meditate on what you've read and then visualize your day. It doesn't have to be in a set order, okay? And visualization meditation probably falls together, because the one I actually forgot is exercise, okay? There needs to be 20 minutes of some form of physical movement. Movement, as you would learn in the basic workshops, is nutrition for the brain and gets it charged. If you're not moving in the morning, you're basically going to work tired. Most of us don't wake up until we get to work, okay? Somewhere around the 10 o'clock mark. We might be at work, that presenteeism, but we're not actually really there. And so that's where planning comes in, where you actually do stuff the night before, because you're already going to bed at 10. Doesn't mean you have to be asleep at 10, but you've got to be in your room pretty much getting ready for bed. You should be asleep pretty much by about 10:30. But normally I get to my room by about 10 to 10, have a quick shower, clean up, and then I'll just lay down the stuff for the next day, do a bit of reading, okay, and journaling, and that's bed. But essentially that morning routine needs to be structured as well. And the more you prepare for it the night before, the easier it is to do your things in the morning. And the more routines you become, the quicker you'll just go bang, 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 bang. Talk a little bit more about this hour of power. The hour of power is basically to try and do 3 things. Number 1, get you moving, okay, which is healthy for you. And I generally recommend you do this before breakfast, okay? And there's a whole nother reason for that, but essentially when you move before breakfast, you burn fat rather than carbs that you've had at breakfast, okay? And so when you come back, you'll actually be a little bit more hungry and your body is ready to metabolize. The visualization meditation can be done before breakfast or it can be done after, okay? Personally, I do it all before. Doesn't really matter as long as it gets done somewhere. You can do another one at night, okay, to calm down. You might actually go for a walk at night. You might do some visualization, some meditation before you go to bed to actually help the brain calm down and go to sleep.